Hey, big bro, how you doing? My name's Ithiel. What's your name?
Ithiel?
Yeah, that's my name.
My name is Lakeem.
Lakeem?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good to meet you, big bro. It's good to meet you, right? We out here teaching unity amongst our people, and a lot of that has to do with understanding who we are. So a lot of us today are going around by the names that we earned, that we were given in colonialism, in slavery, in captivity, right? But we actually have a true name. Our true name isn't American black. It's not African American. It's not black. It's not Negro. It's not nigga. Did you know that? So we obviously got a real name, right? How come today we not abiding or going by that real name? Come close. I can't hear you. I got the mic. Just come
They
through.
don't know. They don't know.
Who don't know?
We don't know, for one.
We don't know.
And then they don't want to share it to us.
They don't want to share it to
What
us.
power is, right? They don't want to share that.
Did you know that circumstance was prophesied in the Bible? And it said the people that would happen to are the Israelites of the Bible. So I know right now in Palestine and in Gaza and all them places and stuff like that, they're fighting, the Jews are fighting the Arabs and stuff like that. Those are not the Jews.
Right.
You the Jew.
Right.
Did you know that? You have understanding? Okay, right? Well, let me show you something. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15. Get that for me real quick. I'm going to show you how this came to happen, right? You familiar with this history over here?
I am.
All right, good. But we're going to show you that in the Bible and show why it's pertinent to the unity that we lack today in places like Hawaii, right? Are we unified as a people, the people of the slave trade? Are we unified here in Hawaii?
In Hawaii?
Yeah. How often you getting together with your own people? Y'all building and being constructive and things like
Well, I don't.
that, right? You don't? Why not?
Because I work for the state.
Because you what?
Because I don't work with my people.
You don't work with it. I don't work with my people either, but you see us out here though, right?
I see y'all out here, but I don't see y'all out in the community that I work in. You know, that's true.
Where you need us to be?
I don't what?
Where you need us to be?
I need in Honolulu, Diamond, New York City. But it all depends.
So here's the thing, right? You are the key, right? Needs to be built up. So you could be the pivotal point over there.
That's right.
Right? So you could be, there's no one pushing you to be a leader amongst your people out here. You want to know how we know? Because we in the community and we know it's not happening.
Right.
First of all, because no one knows who they really are. So no one going to be out here, Lakeem, you know you an Israelite according to the Bible, and with that heritage comes an inheritance. Negroes don't got nothing, and they're not given anything because there's no place for them to inherit. There's no forefather, there's no family line, nothing. There's no culture except what's been given to them by the people that oppressed them. But let me show you what the Bible says real quick. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
Yep.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
This is Moses speaking to the Israelites. He's saying if y'all don't listen and y'all don't hear what God is telling us, read.
To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Lakeem, I'm going to show you an example of curses, right? Our forefathers, our foreparents being shipped all over the earth. That's a curse, right? Us being stacked in ships like cargo, like merchandise, and treated like merchandise. That's what chattel slavery is, meaning ownership of property. That's a curse. Us having this done to us right here. For example, if you look right here, you see a sister right here holding a baby, getting ready to be auctioned off. That's a curse, right? Having your back shredded by a whip. That's a curse, right? Having your name removed. That's a curse. Having to raise other people's children. That's a curse. Why you can't even keep track of where your children are because they've been sold off. Having your infants used as gator bait. That's a curse. And the world telling you to forget it. That's a curse. God said that would happen to his people if they did not do what, Lakeem? You remember what we said? Keeping his commandments. That right there, that easy part to forget is the reason why we in turmoil today and lack unity today. Our culture that God gave us, we don't even stick to it. We stick to everything else. You can set that down, officer. God, read it again. Let me show you something.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, God.
want you to really absorb what Moses is telling his people. He said, you must listen to this. This is a warning, right? If you got family that you love and you know something bad or critical is going to happen to them, you're going to warn them and expect them to listen. This is what Moses is doing. Go ahead.
To observe to do all his commandments.
Today, we're not doing none of his commandments because the colonizers' churches that's been set up in every place that we've been spread to says, don't do that, Lakeem. Don't do that. Read on.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now you agree that this happened to us, right?
I agree.
Okay. Give me verse 68. I'm going to show you something because a lot of times people think this is circumstantial or maybe it's just like a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. This is specific things that would happen to a specific people and yield a specific result. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
If you're familiar with Israelite history or biblical history, you understand the Israelites were in Egypt. What were they doing in Egypt?
Being African.
They was what?
Being African. They're living life, right?
They were living life. The Israelites were living life in Egypt. Get that for me in Exodus chapter 1 and verse 13. Exodus 1 and 13, right? We're going to use the Bible to answer the questions and to respond accordingly, all right? Exodus 1 and 13. Drop whatever you have and get Exodus 1:13.
The book of Exodus chapter 1 and verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
Serve with rigor. Serve with rigor. You know what serve with rigor? You go to work, right? Now, what if there's somebody there that's just making your job miserable? Making everything that you do extremely difficult. Making you get worn out every day. Everything, even the simplest thing that you got to do, they make it back-breaking labor. That's what it means to serve with rigor. Read it again.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
With what?
With hard bondage.
Lakeem, you know what bondage is? What is it?
Being bonded, tied up, bound.
Exactly. Slavery, captivity. That's what it is. They made them to be slaves, and all the work that they did was made to be rigorous. They put extra oomph on the work. They said, oh, you got to get that cotton? Oh, here's what I want you to do. Get this much weight in hay or whatever you got to do, right? Do this. Do it with these restrictions on you, right? That's what it means to serve with rigor. It wasn't like, oh, let's go get the crops real quick and come back out. Let's go do the work real quick and come back out. The Egyptians made them serve with rigor, right? Now go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. There's a definition of Egypt. You're going to learn something today, Lakeem. All right, there's a definition of what Egypt means in the Bible. Because a lot of times we just immediately think it's this place in Africa over here somewhere, right? That's not exactly what the Bible means. Not only is it a location, it means something, right? Read.
The book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 2.
Go ahead.
I am the Lord thy God,
right,
which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
So what we just read what we were doing in Egypt. We were slaves in Egypt, right? What does God call Egypt?
Out of the house of bondage.
He calls Egypt the house of bondage. Remember when we said bondage meant? It meant slavery. It meant captivity. It meant being tied down, right? So now, Lakeem, stay with me. We're going to go back to those curses that Moses said would happen if we didn't care and keep the commandments. And we're going to find out what this last curse was. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Listen good, Lakeem.
The book of Deuteronomy.
You get a lesson today. We your brothers, we're going to teach you some history you not learning. All right, read.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
That means the house of bondage. I'm going to bring you into the house of bondage again. Go ahead.
With ships.
With ships. Who went into bondage with ships, Lakeem? Slaves? I need their names. Or I just identify who they are. It's us. Our forefathers. Our forefathers. This didn't happen to, let's just say, the Russians. It didn't happen to the Japanese. It didn't happen to them, right? When you look up slave in your phone right now, you gonna come up. You understand? We're synonymous with that slave trade. The Israelis is not gonna come up, just so you know, right? So read that part again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Slavery again.
with ships.
With ships. That's historical fact that the Bible prophesied centuries, millennia before it actually happened. That's why Moses said, it shall come to pass if you don't listen to these commandments. These are the things that's going to happen to you. Did it happen to us, Lakeem? 100%. 100%.
Still to this day.
And still to this day. Let me read that further in the Bible for you, because you said still to this day. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee,
Uh-huh.
thou shalt see it no more again.
Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
That's what we showed you earlier, us being sold unto our enemies. Lakeem, who was we sold to?
The enemy, the white folks.
The white folks. All right, that boy Lakeem on point, man. There we go.
Capitalism, in the sense that anybody who had that money to buy that,
Like whom?
anybody.
Like whom?
Black folks, the white folks.
Show me.
The white folks.
This is where it starts right here. This is what you've been socially programmed to say in response to that. We teach out here a lot. Listen to what the Bible says, right? Read. Who was we sold to?
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
We were sold to each other?
Your enemies.
Exactly. Read.
For bondmen
For slave men
and bondwomen,
and slave women.
and no man shall buy you.
And that buy you means nobody's going to redeem you out of that slavery. Nobody's going to purchase you out. You're not going to get no manumission, right? That's why we here to this day. To this day, right? So I'll give you an example. To this day, we're not owned by black people. Right? We don't have the last names of black people, right? So when people bring up, oh, black people had slaves, why we don't got their last names then? Why we don't got their last names? Why we don't have a separate culture from the colonists then? There should be a separate group of slaves that got last names that is black, that is African American, right? We can't let that little exception, maybe a slave had some people because he wanted to emulate white people. It was the things that was done to us by our enemies. Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord. Now, Lakeem, why did these things happen to us?
We didn't obey.
Didn't obey what?
Follow the commandments.
Didn't follow the commandments, right? So now, Lakeem, when we talk
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.